the best legendary cards from the Boomsday.
Ride the lightning!
The 10th position is held by Storm Surge. It's a legendary Shaman card. The community was very excited about this card and predicted it would be good. 3% of decks include this card. Win rate of all decks with this is 51% on average. The most popular archetypes are Token and Shadowwalk. Here is an example of the most popular deck. At number 9 is Mirror's Unstable Element, the legendary spell for Oak. The community underestimated the strength of this card in their predictions. 3% of decks included this card in the first week. 50% is average win rate of all decks with Unstable Element. This card is used in the popular Odd Rogue deck.
Who's next?
In 8th place is Boomsday, the class legendary minion for Hunter. The community did not believe in the power of this card. 3.3% of decks include this card in the first week after the release. The average win rate of all decks is 49%. The most popular archetypes are Mech Hunter and Rattle Hunter. In 7th place is Kanga's Endless Army, the legendary spell for Paladin. In general, the community was not mistaken in its predictions, but the community, with Hearthstone top decks, was closer to the truth. 3.3% of all decks include this card. The average win rate of decks with this card is 53%. It's used by the new Odd Paladin and Mech Paladin.
Return to nothing.
Stargazer Luna is a legendary card for Mage. In general, the community did not underestimate the power of this card. Almost 4% of decks use this card. The average win rate of decks with Luna is 52%. This card is used in the new version of Tempo Mage.
Here comes the boom!
The 5th position is held by Dr. Boom, Mad Genius, the only hero card in this expansion. The community believed in the power of this card. 5.5% of decks include Dr. Boom in the first week after the release. On average win rate of all decks is 50.7%. Dr. Boom is used in Mech, Control and Recruit Warriors, but the most popular archetype for this card at the moment is Odd Warrior. At 4th place is the absolute leader and most meta-defining card, according to the community. More than 5% of decks include this card. On average, the win rate of decks with Flobbit in a sloop is 52%. This card has strengthened the archetype of Malagas Druid.
Death is close.
The 3rd position is held by a big surprise and the biggest mistake of the community. The Mechanical God conquered the game in the first week. The popularity of this card is 8%. On average, the win rate of decks with this card is more than 51%. Mecha'thun is used in Warlock, Priest, and Druid decks. In 2nd place is the Solarium, the legendary spell for Warlock. The community from Hearthstone underestimated the potential of this card. More than 9% of decks include this card. The average win rate of decks that use this card is 57%. Solarium is used in Zoo Warlock, but the most popular archetype at the moment that incorporates this card is Pain Warlock.
Primitive.
And finally, the card in 1st place is Zilliax, a neutral legendary mech. The community highly anticipated this card in its predictions. 13% of decks use this card. The average win rate is 51% for decks that include Zilliax. This card is actively used by Hunter, Rogue, and Warrior. The most popular archetype is Odd Paladin. These are the 3 worst cards from the new expansion. The community was absolutely right about the prospects of these cards in the game. Although, players are trying to find places for them. A strange situation occurred with the most unique legendary card in the history of the game. According to statistics from hsreplay.net, Whizbang the Wonderful has only 0.03% popularity. This is an incredibly bad result.
Nobody's perfect.
And what about you? Have you tried to play with this wonderful card? What are your impressions? These results are only for the first week after the release. As the community members continue their experiments, the situation can dramatically change in a couple of days. If you have a little dust, wait until the meta game settles, and be wary of possible nerfs.
Ah, yeah, sure. Take your time. This is a delicate operation.
As for the results of the vote from the last video, the question was, are you happy with your packs? So, are the new cards interesting or not? I created a new YouTube poll. Find the button on the screen. Vote and tell me your answer in the comments. And here are the most popular comments from the last video. Thank you for your activity. Perhaps you will find something interesting here.
Here are some suggestions.
Job's done.